Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Well, a very good evening then, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to Apex Racing TV and our live coverage of the iRacing Israel League Season 9. We are here for Race 9 of Season 9, and where better to join us than from the circuit, the Spa-Francorchamps, an iconic circuit in the Ardennes Mountains in Belgium. Everybody knows this circuit, 7,008 meters in length, and the F4 cars will race pretty well around here. It's an F1 circuit. The F4 cars, of course, little single-seaters, should provide some fantastic racing for us today. A single race. It is just race 9 here today. No double race format that we've had for quite a few seasons now, actually. Here at Spa, they've gone for a single 40-minute race. So it's going to be a very interesting one indeed. 8-minute qualifying session is underway. They only get 2 laps, so the drivers will be coming towards the end of their qualifying sessions around about now, actually, as quite a long lap in the F4 cars around Spa. It's going to be one of the longest laps they've had all season. I think it's only going to be shorter than maybe Mount Panorama Bathurst, where we went for races 3 and 4. And 24 degrees temperature, not too hot for the drivers, so they shouldn't have too much to worry about in that regard either. No penalties for any drivers following the last couple of rounds. We had races 7 and 8 at Silverstone for the 4th round of the championship, and well, Ruben Cha-Cha-Cha he's been dominating in recent form, hasn't he? 2 race wins, and both of them by a significant margin out in Silverstone, so it's no surprise to see him leading the championship by about 35 points up in the pro category. John Chico following behind in second, and then it's quite close a little bit further back. Michael Scherling, Nada Viron, Yaris Markov, and then we've got Tal Stern as well, all separated by just 4 points. So very interesting set of drivers there. Yossi Gabai just behind as well. Then you got Leo Levy, Ariel DeBush, and Sharon Kana in the top 10 or so drivers in your pro category. And then we've got the AMs out there as well. Bertie Galili leading the way here with 180 points, and then 168 and 163 for Aiden Scher and Really Sir, your top 3 in the AM category. Toma Ventura just coming short in 4th, and then 1 point ahead of Arnon Levy in 5th position there as well. Means it goes all the way to draw last in 39 points from the season so far. We've got 2 rounds of the championship left. You've got race 9, and then we'll have races 10 and 11 later on in 2 weeks' time to close off the season. Well, it looks like qualifying is over, and we're getting ready to start our 40-minute race. Just the one grid here today, and it is a pole position for the AM driver of Papuchado in the 60 car there, 2 minutes 21.4. So a fantastic start to the day for him, and he's definitely going to be looking to try and make up some points in that AM championship. Sharon Kana in second position alongside on that front row. Just narrowly missing out half a tenth of a second, not even half a tenth of a second is the gap between your top 2. Yari Markov in third alongside Ariel Debush on row 2, Yossi Gabai and Leo Levi in 5th and 6th. John Chico, Rancioni on row 4, and then Tal Stern. And your second AM driver, you got to go all the way back to 10th to find them. It's Toma Ventura in 10th there as well. Aiden Scher and Michael Scherling rounding out the first page of our grid. And then look at all the way to the back of the grid. You'll notice Ruben Chacha. He's decided he's not going to take a qualifying lap. Whether or not that was intentional or maybe he just won extra laps, he invalidated his 2 attempts at a lap in qualifying. We'll have to wait and find out with him if he has a chat with us after the race. But he'll be starting from the back, so should make things quite interesting. As we now wait for the lights, all 5 red lights. We're going to get going for 40 minutes of racing. We are green. The flag man, for some reason, on the right-hand side of the circuit, he's waving his flag. And off we go into the source for the first time. It's a brilliant start from your race leader in the number 60, but swooping around the outside is Sharon Kana. He's going to swoop all the way in front as they make their way down the hill now in the run-up towards Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time. Are they going to all sort themselves out cleanly? Looks like we're mostly single file, but here is Toma Ventura. A little bit further back, they're going side by side up the hill. That's going to compromise their run, and now the car is sideways, and there's contact. The car's upside down, sliding on its roof on the halo down the circuit, and it's going to cause more chaos if it slides across to the right-hand side of the circuit. Drivers trying to avoid it, ending up in the grass. But here we go again, side by side for your race lead, and a little bit deep into Lecom. It's the number 60. Oh, and he's going to push Malkov around, and Malkov drops all the way out of the race. He's going to be upside down in the barriers there as well. 3 wide, and the number 60 car holds on to second place for now. There's a big lunge up the inside into Brussels for the first time. John Chico trying to make up some places, and he's already up into 4th position, 5th overall. Looking at where the points will come in, and now here they all come in a single file train down in towards Pau on the double left-hander. Absolute carnage at the start of this race. We've already lost 3 drivers, it looks like, to the pit lane. They do have a fast repair, so that's not the end of the line for the drivers. They do have the opportunity to get back into the cars after they've towed back into the pit lane and see what they can salvage from the race. Here is your leader then, and take a look at that gap out in front. It's a huge one. Out in front, he got ahead, swooping around the outside of La Source. It's really wide part of the circuit going into the corner, but coming out it does narrow up a lot, so it's a very interesting one to go for. But on lap 1, made it work, carried so much more speed around the outside than anyone could on the inside, and takes that position before they even came out of the exit of the corner. Down the inside, the 007 of Ariel Debush has got it slightly wrong, and he's under pressure now. The number 4 of John Chico is going to swoop past around the outside of the second apex. He loses out the position to Levi as well, and now he's going to go side by side with Yossi Gabai in a bright green 17 on the outside of the source. Here they go side by side to start lap number 2. Can Gabai get the cut back? He can, and does have a little bit of a run here. Will he go for a move into Eau Rouge Radion, or will he wait for Lecom? I think he's going to wait for Lecom as they go up the hill now. Through the left, a little bit of a lift there to not run into the back of him, and now flat out once more over the crest. Nicely done. Very easy set of corners in these cars. They're not fast enough for it to become too much of a challenge. They have enough downforce that it's completely flat out. Absolutely no lifting required from anyone. Now into the slipstream, and it's going to back off here into the com for the second time of asking. No moves being made just yet. It is a long one, 40-minute race. We're only 3.5 minutes into it as well. So definitely the wise option there. If it's not going to be a done move and you think you can stay onto the back of the car for the next lap or so, then it's always worth just having another go a little bit later on. Here comes the one up the inside of the 22. He's gone a bit deep. Oh, and he's got the car onto the curb. He's actually done a brilliant job of holding onto it there. But he's got the car up onto the curb. He's beached it. Grinding on the curb like a skateboarder. Wheels not in contact with the ground. Turns the steering wheel in to go for the corner. And the car does nothing in the way of turning. Now trying to make up a position once again down the inside of the 36 of really steering. He's going to make that position stick nice and easily into the right and the left at Village. And now the long run up the hill again as they come towards the end of the lap. Ariel de Bush in the 007, currently sitting in 4th position in the Pro category. Has got Yossi Goodbye right on his tail. Is Goodbye going to go for a move here? Looks towards the outside, but that door's going to be shut. It's always shutting. And no move is going to be made there. Levi's off the circuit, but looks like just ran wide off of the corner. And, oh, very squirrely there was Toma Ventura. He's going to try and move up into 2nd position here in the AM category. And these two have got to watch out because they've got Yaron just behind them as well, ready to pounce on any mistakes that these two make. Through La Source they go. Start lap number 3. Pulls towards the left-hand side. Now, are they going to try and force this too-wide issue? They are, and that's actually very smart there because, look, the inside line compromised on the right-hand side, and that's going to be as easy as you like from Nadav Yaron up into the next position. And look at the compromised line has caused both of these two to lose some speed. And here comes, is that moving Chacha? It is. In the number 1 car, all the way up, almost down the inside of 2 cars, but has to slightly back out of that one. And now trying to go the long way around through the right-hander. Bit of a block there on the 22, not letting anyone through that easily. Into Brussels they go once more. So Chacha, 9 seconds off the leaders here. So still plenty of time to catch that back up. And I have absolutely no doubt that he will be able to catch that back up. But has a lot of traffic in his way that he does need to get past. And no blue flags to help him out this time around. Chico has got ahead of Levi whilst we were looking a little bit further back. So up into 3rd position overall. Now has a bit of work to do to try and catch up to Papuchado and get himself up into 2nd position overall and try and maybe catch up to Shiran Kana up at the top as well. But has to watch out. Levi, De Bush, Goodbye, all 3 of them in his wake. And still a long way to go in this race at the circuit, the Spa-Francorchamps, sorry. Through Blanchimont they will go, and you can see just how much the slipstream is helping now. With the 46 and the 007 going to go side by side. I think that might just have saved John Chico here, as Levi's got to look out and defend from the Bush. The Bush is going to force the side by side and get it done. And here comes Yossi Goodbye trying to make something happen here as well. Levi just going wide at the chicane. 2 laps in a row that he's done that now. And Yossi just going to hold back. Yossi dropping down in a straight line. Can't help but wonder if maybe there's some damage from an incident earlier on, because it doesn't seem like Yossi to back out of battling so hard. You can see as the other drivers in the slipstream start to close in on John Chico, who's just backing off ever so slightly. I wonder if that might have come from any lap 1 incidents there. Let's have a look then at some replays. Draw last. Toma Ventura here as well. Some incidents at the start of the race. Yeah, really odd one at the beginning of the race through Oro's Radion, just as they came over the crest. Almost 3 wide, didn't quite work out. And then, yeah, the car in the middle just getting spun around and then getting flipped completely over. No one into the wall, but yeah, just someone flipping completely over and then sliding down the racetrack on the top of the Halo. So Halo doing its job, keeping the virtual racing drivers inside these cars nice and protected from tipping through the racing surface that often happens here at Spa. We've got some incidents, but now we're right on board, back up at the front. Your top 5 drivers, your top 4 in the pros, and then 1 AM driver mixed in as well. And now it's Levi, and he's got the bush in front of him. They've got Chico just in front of them, and now trying to go side by side here. Is that going to work out for them though? Because now look at the run that Levi's got into the slipstream, in towards the first corner. Yosuke hot on their heels as well. Are we going to see a lunge down the inside into turn 1? No, we're not. They're going to switch back and just about keep a single file. Yossi almost getting into the back of Levi there. But they just about avoid it. Oh, David Diag is off at the bus stop chicane, the end of the lap. And what has happened here? Oh, trying to turn all the way around, trying to avoid a slowdown penalty. Or just getting lost. Just getting lost. They decided not to rejoin the circuit and instead take the off track. And that is a very broken F4 car, I think it's fair to say. So what has happened here with David Diag? It looks like that was at the pit entry for the secondary pit lane, the old pit lane they used to use and they still do use for endurance races, but they don't use that entry anymore for anything, I don't think. But yeah, very broken car. Engine exploded just before he towed back to the pit lane and will be put right to the back of the field. Very odd one there. See if we can get a replay of it. So at the bus stop, we'll just follow him around for a bit here because it goes here to rejoin, decides against it, I think because of the 71 approaching as well. Definitely didn't help things there. So decides not to rejoin the circuit until after the chicane again. Gets a slowdown penalty here, I would imagine. And you can see slowing down to serve that penalty. Now through the source. Into the right-hand side of the circuit, and then... Oh! Just drives straight into the barrier. I can't say I know what was going on there. Yeah, that was a very weird one. We'll have to maybe see if we can have a word with David before the end of the race or afterwards. But very odd one there. We'll take the tow. We'll take a fast repair. We'll see if he ends up going back out onto the circuit. It has been towing for about 2 minutes now. So I would imagine that tow is going to end in approximately a minute or so. But now up the hill they go, back on board with our AM drivers, and second and third position in the AM category. It's Toma Ventura putting to the left-hand side of the circuit now. It's really Sir just in front, about to be passed, it looks like, by Toma in the number 13. We're right on board, side by side into Lecom. They go to the outside as Ventura. It's not going to work out this time. Good defense by really Sir, holds a lot of speed on that inside line and gives the 13 nowhere to go. Into Brussels they go, and Ventura's going to have to wait another lap to try that move again. Just over a quarter of the way through this race then. Kana still leads, and it's quite a considerable gap out in front as well. I would say about 3 seconds or so is the gap now. Yep, there it is, 3.3 seconds. And Papu Shadow now has John Chico breathing down his neck. About a second is the gap between those two now, and Chico doing a very good job of managing that gap and trying to close down on the driver in second overall, while still holding on to that second position in the pro category. DeBusch and Gabai wanting that position to themselves, that's for sure. Did something happen whilst we were looking at Diag? I think it might have, because I think, is it Levi that we were watching in this battle as well? Gone? I think we might have lost a driver from our top 3 or 4 drivers here. We have got a replay now to see what happened to Leo Levi in the number 46. What has caused him to drop out of the top few cars? Not the ideal situation through Lecom. And yeah, the 46 is not going to be up at the top for much longer. Lap cars now getting involved. Oh, massively getting involved. Off goes DeBusch. Contact with the lap car, stuck on the inside. DeBusch turned in. I guess thought the lap car was going to get out of the way, and they didn't. And DeBusch is going to be off and out of the race. Going to retire, or at the very least tow back to the pit lane. And what has gone on here? We'll have a look. So John Chico gets past just fine, and now they're going side by side. 007 turns in, and oh, the lap car coming off the racing line, coming off the inside and going straight on, giving a very unpredictable line there for the leaders to try and navigate them. And yeah, I think DeBusch not expecting that from the lap car, and very, very unfortunate for DeBusch. It was looking to be quite a good battle out there in the front. And now we've got another battle on our hands, as we've got Leo Levi trying to make his way back up through the field in the 46 machine. Just in front, you've got really certain Iden Share, and then just in front of them, Ventura as well. Second, third, and fourth in this battle. Levi's going to try and get through these as quickly as possible, and then hope that maybe something happens to one of the leading cars, as this just happened to DeBusch, in order to get some more points, because I don't think a 10-second gap is going to be very doable. Now, look at the extra speed carried to Blanchimon, and oh, goes onto the grass, onto the AstroTurf on the inside to try and get through, and is going to back out of that one now, and big lockup from Toma Ventura in the 13 as well, as they all run wide on the exit. And ooh, and Levi has gone into the pit lane. Has Levi got a penalty, or has Levi had enough? We will wait and see. Drives into the pit stalls and stops. Is it going to be a regular pit stop? Changes tires and leaves. Very strange. Maybe just overheated the tires. Just wants a fresh set. We'll have to wait and see what that was about from Levi. Back up at the front of the field then. Your AM leader, second place overall in the number 60, has John Chico right behind. These two, a gap of about 4 seconds now to Kana out in front as well. So Kana really starting to pull away. Chico, oh, look at the understeer, it's terrible. Through the left-hander. And oh, I've missed this actually. Every driver's going to be making a trip down into the pit lane. They have to refuel to make it to the end of the race. So maybe that's what it was from Levi. Maybe that's what we've just seen there. A little bit of added fuel to get to the end of the race. They do not have enough fuel to go the entire 40 minutes. Draw last. Are they letting the leaders through, or are they going slow otherwise? And oh, that's not what Chacha wants to see. Going down the straight, draw last, swerving across the straight. And I must say, Reuven handled that very well. That was sketchy, to say the least. And I think Reuven is quite lucky to still be on the circuit in one piece after that. Very narrow section of the circuit. Does well to keep that one, for the most part, out of the fence. Oh, and a spin in front. Really, sir, going around on the exit, lighting up the rear tires and catching Toma Ventura. You can see now damage to the front right of that car. And there goes Idan Scher up into second place in the AM category. Hesed is into the pit lane for what I can only assume is their scheduled pit stop, but about half a race distance. So here is Reuven Chacha then coming through the right hand, and now in the straight. Now you can see the car on the right hand side going slow, and now we'll move over towards the left hand side. So Reuven's like, okay, I'll take the right, and then comes back across, and wow. Brilliant car control. Get slightly off the throttle. You don't want to be going full throttle when you're going onto the grass, especially not in iRacing. And carries on as if nothing ever happened. And then, yeah, shortly afterwards, into the bus stop chicane, we have a bit of an incident here as well. So side-by-side through Blanchimont, as you do. Especially in the F4 cars. Very easy, actually, to do that compared to what it is in some other cars. Now, lock up from Ventura. And then you'll see the 36 here. It gets it a little bit wrong. That slide starts at the apex of the second apex of the chicane. And just a bit of contact there. Puts really steer the right way again, and they can carry on. But Ventura, you can see that damage to the front right of the wing, and that's not going to be helping the downforce, especially not through these left-handers. That there are a couple of long left-handers at this circuit as well, where you really do want to be relying on that downforce to keep you going. And it's going to have a significant pace impact on that car. You'd have to expect almost 2 seconds now with the gap between Ventura and Scher out ahead of them. Car has gone off around those last couple of corners as well. Very recently, you can see the tire marks on the gravel. Levi in that 6th position in the pro category, just behind Rancioni, who hasn't made his way to the pit lane just yet. Now we're starting to see some lap times being put in by Chacha, who has found his way up to Papuchado and Yossi Gabai, both of them. So what's happened to Papuchado, because he's dropped back a significant amount on the last lap. Chico's into the pit lane as well, just coming out of it now. Really, Sir and Ventura both also going into the pit, so chips down the pit lane are now starting to happen. You can only assume it's a matter of time before these top runners join them there. Yossi Gabai now into the slipstream and is going to back out of this one. Isn't going to go for a move. Reuven, known as probably the fastest driver out on the circuit at the moment. Definitely in this race at least. 2-minute 20.398 last lap, and it is purple, as you can see in that graphic on the bottom of the screen. Fastest lap of anyone in the race. So you can see there, gained a second to Yossi Gabai on that last lap. Drivers have to be a little bit careful here. They have got fairly lenient track limits, I will say, at Spa. 4 wheels over the curb in most places is going to give you a 1x, but they do have a limit. 32 incidents, and that is your race done. 4x for heavy car contact, 2x for contact with other items like the wall or a lighter contact with a car, 1x for going off the circuit, 2x for a spin as well. So let's see what's happened here. John Chico's got ahead, and then big send up the inside, and wow. That is good heads-up driving from John Chico, who then immediately nopes out of that into the pit lane as well. But that is what happened there, just the 60. I think trying to let John Chico back through. And then realizing that Chico is, in fact, in the background of the shot in the pit lane. Then you can see Ruven making his way out of the source and just getting a sweet cut back here. And the nice run down the hill in towards Eau Rouge and Radion. So we're just over halfway through this race now, 24 minutes or so through of the 40 that we'll get from all of our drivers. And our race leader has pitted. Coming out of the pit lane now, the number 48 will rejoin just in front of John Chico. Making his way up through Eau Rouge Radion now. Goodbye, holding on to that top spot as well. Not dropping back from Ruben Chacha, but not trying to make any moves happen. And that is a man on a mission, and a man with a lot of work to do, it must be said, if he wants to make his way up into the top. 10 positions gained already. And that is only counting, it must be mentioned also, the probe category positions. He's gone from pretty much dead last in this circuit on the grid at the beginning of this race, so started all the way down in what would be 17th, 18th position. Has made his way all the way up to what is currently the top, but is pretty net around third or fourth, I would say, once everyone has made their pit stops. These three at the top still needing to do so. Chacha, Goodbye, and Papuchado. A couple of the drivers in there as well still need to be making pit stops. I think particularly needs to go down to the pit lane. Rancioni possibly as well. Purple sector 3 there as well last time by for Chacha. So still very quick indeed, and he's going to want to run that tank as low as possible before he does indeed head down into the pit lane. And depends on how much fuel they have to take as to whether or not they'll take tyres as well. Obviously new tyres will be faster, but you don't want to be losing too much time by taking them through the very tight pit entry here at Spa. And all three of your top three are going to head down to the pit lane now. This is where we see where the race truly stands, as Kana makes his way onto the start-finish straight. Will pass all three of these. But this is where the importance lies. How far back is Chacha going to be when he gets out of the pit exit? And we're only really going to see that when they've reached Lecom, because they're going to carry this loss of momentum all the way down the straight. Chacha's jumped John Chico in the pit lane. That is big. That is just another couple of cars he does not need to get past on track. These last few laps of purple sectors and purple lap times for Ruven Chacha, and that is the gap. And that is not a big gap. He can see him. He has him in his sights. He's got 13 minutes to close down that of about 6 seconds. And if there's one person on the circuit that I would put my money on being able to do that, this man right here, Ruven Chacha, in that number one car. Number one for a reason. Consistently being one of, if not the fastest driver in the iRacing Israel League for a good few seasons now. Trained up to the absolute monster that he is by some of the past greats. 4-time Euro NASCAR champion Alonde. Dorian Tabashnik. Some of the great drivers that this league has produced. And they brought up Ruven to an incredible talent. Now we're going to see some side-by-side action here. Leo Levi getting through at Pouon of all places, and almost contact being made, and really wants that position back. He's not going to get it back this time. Through the right-hander, they will go in a little bit too much curb on the inside for the 36. He's going to hold up his line ever so slightly. He's going to drop back a little bit. Consolation for him is that iR-04 is about 3 seconds behind. He's got to hold on to that for about 11 minutes or so. Levi wanted to get back up to where he was earlier on in the race before an incident at Lecombe. Put him back down into the midst of the midfield and battle, and now really surge to the inside of the bus stop chicane. Going to go side by side, deeper on the brakes is Levi round the outside and sweeps across, cuts the nose of the 36. And we'll keep on to that 7th position overall. 6 in the pro category, really, so it has to settle for 8th place here. Ramsey only with a quick lap time there. Personal best last time by over 121. Sorry, a 221. Looking to try and catch up and overtake the AM leader, but has got a long way to go. About 10 minutes left in this race. And interestingly, Ruben Chacha, he's not been able to catch up to Sharon Kane as much as I would have expected. Bit of weaving going on a bit further back, right in the background of that shot. Looks like Levi and So are having their battle again into Lecombe. Looks like Levi's going to hold on to that one for now, though, as we take a look at your championship leader, and surely soon to be crowned champion as well. Through the right and the left. And almost identical sector times. Less than a tenth separating the two of them. Back and forth through the first 3 sectors on the circuit. We'll see what sector 4 will bring. As up the hill and through Blanchimont they will go. He's gained about 0.3 of a second on this lap, has Ruben. And a lot of it came in sector 4, you can see there, 1.5 of a second. Now onto sector 5 they'll go, and sector 5 is quite a short one. Good traction zone, he has gained a little bit more time. So across the timing line they'll go, a little bit more time, 0.03 of a second, but really does need to gain a lot more time than that. And a lot quicker if he's going to have a chance at winning this race. Sharon Kane doing everything he needs to be doing. Keeping that consistent pace up. 8.5 minutes that he has to hold on for. A little bit further back of the field, Michael Schörling, Tal Stern going at it once again in this championship between these two. Really setting a fastest lap off the race of anyone in the AM category last time by, getting that purple lap time in, using Levi's draft and slipstream to his advantage, I would imagine, on that lap. Tal Stern isn't going to be able to make anything happen at this part of the circuit. It's a very tricky part of the circuit to try and overtake at. Quite a few corners, relatively densely packed. And you don't really want to make a move because now you've got a long, flat-out section and he hasn't quite got a good run. But that doesn't matter because look at the flat-out they'll have now. Next braking zone, bus stop chicane for the final couple of corners of the lap. So he's just going to spend all this time in the draft of Schörling and still closing in ever closer. Especially now through the left hand of Blanchimont. Is he ever going to get close enough to make a move? He looks towards the outside. He's going to go for the move for the outside. Into the braking zone they go. And it's a compromised line for Schörling. And look at the line of the 11 trying to get a cut back. And is he going to be able to make that work? He has definitely got a good run. Schörling to the outside closes that door quickly. And Tal Stern's going to stay back for a minute. Doesn't go for a move through La Source. Next overtaking opportunity into Lecombe. Up the hill they go. And it's a good run. That 11 getting bigger and bigger on our screens, bigger and bigger in the mirrors of Michael Sherling. To the outside he will go, and in towards the braking zone. He'll pull alongside and pull ahead. But now on the brakes, deeper is Michael Sherling. Surely that's too deep. On the brakes, no, it's not. He gets the car stopped nicely. And we'll keep on going. John Chico's gone off the circuit briefly, but keeps on going. Rancioni's in the pit lane. Now Rancioni, has Rancioni been in the pit lane for a scheduled pit stop yet? It's a slow start to the lap. I would say penalty, but I don't think they have penalties in the race. I think it's straight disqualification. So back out onto the circuit, then maybe underfueled the car. That is a possibility. Or just wanted some fresh tyres. There's that too. Fast repair, had some damage perhaps. But either way, back out onto the circuit, no dramas. Just over 5 minutes left then in this 40-minute 9th race of Season 9. And it's Sheeran Kana out in front. Slowly dropping back into the clutches of Chacha, but slowly is the key word there. 5.2 seconds is still the gap, and oh, holds on to that one nicely, runs a little bit wide there. Has the luxury of being able to afford that. 5 seconds is a big gap. And yes, Chacha's going to be in his mirrors down the straights. But he has the availability of, if he does go a little bit wide, he can take the time. He doesn't have to rush getting back onto the circuit. 4.5 minutes is all the driver of the 48 needs to hold on for what would have been a dominant performance. Stop times are currently in the data column of the timing tower in seconds, so 5.1 seconds for Kana. It looks like everyone having very, very similar stop times. Looks like most drivers taking tyres, I think, is what's happened there. And the fuel is sort of just however much fuel you can fit in the car in that amount of time. Tioni having a 4.1 second stop, not a whole lot quicker than anybody else. Very strange. We'll have to see if Rancioni wants to have a chat with us after the race and see if we can get an explanation from that. Second stop as well, so very odd stuff from Tioni. And yeah, that lap time not representative. Of course, the lap after they exit the pit lane is going to have 10 seconds of driving down the pit lane in there, so of course will be slightly slower than those around him. The gap is now up in front, decreased to just under 5 seconds and sort of hovering about that 5 seconds mark, but I think minus a big mistake from our race leader, again, it is going to hold on to this one. It's only 3 minutes left. They'll only have, I believe, 1 lap to go. It may be tight, though. Here's David Diag in 11th position in the pro category. Got draw last up in front, I believe, and trying to make up some positions near the end of this race. Had that weird incident into the bus stop. Didn't quite see what caused the bus stop incident, but was off at the bus stop. Turned around, did a full 360, went back up onto the circuit, and then ended up in the wrong pit entry. Maybe just got the pit entries confused. But yeah, very odd incident for David Diag, and that is why he is in that number 5 car all the way to the back. Also, I believe had a bit of a weird incident involving some of the leaders into Lecom. I believe that was Diag here as well. But as we cross the threshold of 2 minutes left in this race, where are our leaders? Have they crossed the line yet? No, they haven't. So this is going to be the last lap of the race then. White flag being waved by Barney the flag man. You can just about see in the background of the shot, and Ruben Chacha really going for it. But I think it's a little bit too little too late, Ruben. not quite enough time in this race for you to be able to make that the first challenge work out, and Sharon Kane just has way too much pace for that to work. That's going through Arias Radion. He will go for the last time, and here we have a battle on our hands as Tal Stern and Michael Scherling once again. They're still going at it. And I do believe that they are still on the lead lap, so they'll have another lap after they finish this one, provided they don't both go off and get overtaken by Sharon Kane. So not the final lap for these two, penultimate lap. And here through No Name is Sharon Kane. Now Puon. You can see dropping back to Cha-Cha. I think probably just taking this last lap easy. Absolutely zero need for any drama. You can see there the time delta from when Cha-Cha pitted, went about 5 seconds behind, and that gap has very, very slowly been decreasing every single lap, but very, very slowly is the key there. And Kane able to hold on to about a 4-second gap here as Cha-Cha goes wide and is going to lose a little bit of time as well. Just one braking zone to go for the driver of the number 48, Sharon Kane here, before he makes himself a winner in the iRacing Israel lead. The clock ticks down to 40 minutes, and Barney gets the checkered flag ready into the braking zone now for the bus stop chicane. And for the final time, through the right and through the left. And the checkered flag is out. Sharon Kane is weaving down the start-finish straight as he becomes a race winner in the iRacing Israel League. Race number 9. Reuven Cha-Cha is going to finish in second. And it's going to be a third place finish for Yossi Gabai. A fantastic drive from the 17. Got in the draft of Cha-Cha and let him drag him up ahead of Chico during the pit window. Chico in 4th position there, and Papu Shano is going to take the victory in the AM category as well. 5th place overall for him. Brilliant finish for them. Leo Levi, good recovery drive from Leo after a couple of incidents in the race, dropping them out of contention for the lead. Really, sir, will finish in 2nd place in the AM category. Rancioni there holds on to 6th. Eden Sher will finish your AM podium, and now a big cluster of drivers crossing the line here. Hased in 5th, Galili in 4th, and Toma Ventura did get the fast repair eventually. Got that front wing fixed after some contact with Really Sir. Here is Yari Malkov as well in that pro category, going to finish in 7th in that one. Yaron in 8th. Just coming through Blanchimont now, running a little bit wide. But be careful doing that. You get a slow down penalty out there. Yar Markov. And here is a battle for position, 9th and 10th. Scherling and Stern. Scherling still just about holding on to this one. Swoops across the nose of the 11 into the braking zone. They go to the chicane. Oh, and it's going to be a good entry for the 11. Holds it around the outside. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who's going to take it at the line? Stern is going to take it by what can only be hundredths of a second, surely. The last racing action that we get, that can't have been much. What is it? The gap between them at the end. I think it was 6. It was 6 thousandths of a second. What a finish between those two. And Stern, right at the end, gets a fantastic run through the chicane and gets into 9th position in the pro category by 6 thousandths of a second. What a finish. what a finish to that 40-minute race there. It was insane that those two drivers are so close together after 40 minutes of racing as well. Here are your full results then. Sheeran Kane in first position there. Beautiful race lead. Led from turn 1 to the very end, minus the brief period of third position whilst the pit stops were ongoing. Ruven Chacha from last to second gets that one down, 3.7 seconds there in the end. As the session just ticks over. And we will get the results back up, I'm sure. But Yossi Gawai finishes in third position there as well. And then John Chico in fourth. Chico was up at the front. I was expecting Chico to maybe even be challenging for the race to win, but settles in fourth position now. And then Papa Shadow taking the victory in the AM category as well. Leo Levi in sixth, overall fifth in the pro category. And then really Sir Rancioni, Eden Scher, Berta Galili, Ame Hesed, Toma Ventura, Gary Markov, and Nadav Yaron, Aviad Yarmarkov, Vital Stern, and Michael Sherling. Those two having a massive battle all the way to the line. And David Diag finishing a lap down in 18th. Well, looks like we've got some time to chat with some of the drivers. Last couple of drivers on the screen as well. Draw last and Ariel de Bush. Ariel not finishing the race, unfortunately. But some of the drivers have had the pleasure of joining us here in the Apex Racing TV commentary booth. So we're going to have a chat with a couple of them as well. And I think the first person I'm going to have a chat to is going to be Ruven Chachas, really. So we're going to bring him up into the commentary booth now. Let's try and get him in here. And he joins us now. Ruven, welcome to the commentary booth. In a second position for you today. A couple of things, bit of a weird one. First of all, you started from the back. But we'll talk
Indeed.
about that in a second. But a 40-minute single race rather than the two-race heat racing format that we normally have here. How did that change how you prepared for the race? I guess you would have had to do some longer runs on some tires.
At first, good evening, guys. And yeah, it was a completely different practice for my end. It's the F4. It's not a strong car, and I was expecting a bit more of tough racing, but thankfully everything went well from my end. Maybe excluding some dangerous backmarker cases that I had. But yeah, I tried to just manage mostly tires. I mean, tire management was the most important thing here, because fuel is not that important. It's just a matter of 1 or 2 liters, which results in maybe tenths of seconds in the pit. So it's not important as keeping the tires well for the second stint. Basically, yeah, I think that, keeping consistent in lap times and making sure not locking the wheels was the major thing that I was thinking of. And to be honest, I started from the back because I was a bit afraid of the hard racing that I was expecting to have. And thankfully, first lap went well for me, but it seems that it wasn't that clear from my perspective on the front.
Yeah, there were a couple of incidents at the start of the race. I only got to saw it once because a couple of the replays not showing up for me in the commentary booth. But yeah, I did see a car sliding on its halo down the Kemmel straight after a Rouge Radio on the first lap. I think you probably saw them as well, trying to avoid them as you made your way over the crest. But yeah, we saw a couple of incidents with you and lap drivers as well. I think there was one, I think it was draw last perhaps. Coming out of the right hander down the back straight up towards Blanchimont, and he just sort of cut across you and you're on the grass. I thought it might have been all over for you. It was fantastic reflexes. What were you thinking in that moment?
Yeah, so I mean, it was a Code Brian moment for me, because I wouldn't expect someone to just get back to the line that he already opened the door in. So at first I would say that Joe is an amazing driver, and I guess that everything that he did was for my benefit, but I think that in this time he miscalculated the moment, and that's it. But thankfully, it ended as it ended. I had to, take all of the grass that I had on the right. I think that I clipped the wall also a bit. Thankfully, it didn't ended with damage. I would say that maybe I earned colder tiles after this case. So this is how I choose to look at it. But thankfully, it ended well, and it damaged a bit my attempts to keep or to close the gap to the leaders, because I was closing around half second per lap, but it just went around the second tops. It didn't help. I don't think it was helpful the second, keeping in mind that Shiran ended 4 seconds ahead at the end of the race, but it was something,
Yeah, and then just not able to close the gap down quick enough. You started to get a little bit closer near the end, but Shiran was holding that pace really consistently throughout the race. It was a very good drive from him.
Indeed.
And then, we've got 2 races left in the championship then. What are your thoughts heading into the next couple of rounds?
Pretty excited, to be honest. I love this car. I love the challenge of less powerful cars, more driver-focused cars. It's a fixed league, and it requires you to be very consistent and very precise with the lines, because every small mistake is a big punishment for lap times, and it requires from you to be on your 100% all the time. And I mean, I don't care which track it will be. To be honest, I don't remember what the next track is, but I really love this car in every track that I drove in. So, I mean, almost, but I think that the challenge is the car and not the track.
It's another long 40-minute race at Suzuka in a couple of weeks' time.
Many flat out corners down.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun in the F4 car. I feel like the racing is gonna be interesting. It's a very narrow one as well. So, yeah, looking forward to that one. Well, thank you so much for having a chat with us, Ruben. Congratulations on that second place finish after starting right at the back, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
See you. Thank you very much, Dane, and thank you guys for commentating. See you next week or 2 weeks.
Absolutely. The 5th of December, the date for the final round of the championship. Let's move on to the next driver then. Thank you very much for Ruben, and we will have a chat with Yossi Gabai, I believe. He finished in 3rd position here today. Yossi, welcome. Bright green car back on top of the, back onto the podium, I should say. 3rd place for you at Spa. Talk us through your race.
It was so difficult, so long. Actually, I didn't have much fights. I drove. So I didn't want to fight so much with him because of the long race and the slipstream. So I kept my line over there, and then when he had the accident with Daddy, the back marker, then I just left alone. And again, when Chacha passed me, I gave him to pass me just before the Eau Rouge, because I knew he's much faster than me. So I just wanted to sit on him and earn the slipstream, and that's it, I guess. Not much action.
You did so successfully, though. You stayed onto the back of him. I was very impressed. And then, when John Chico ended up coming back out of the pit lane, when you guys came out of the pit lane, you were quite far in front of him. So that worked out quite nicely in your favor then.
Yeah, I was counting on it to get away from John Chico, because he is a very fast driver as well. But because I was on the slipstream of Chacha, I was able to keep my distance from Chico. So that was good, very good for me.
And next round, the final race of the championship. It is another 40-minute race, this time at Suzuka. I asked Ruben the same thing. What were you preparing for differently when it's a 40-minute single race, just a long one with a pit stop in it as well, compared to when you're just doing the 20-minute sprint races?
I think it is more mental preparation to fight less and be more stable for a longer time. I didn't drove this the Suzuka with the Formula 4, so I don't know how it's going on over there. So, but we'll see.
Well, Yossi, thank you so much for coming to have a chat with us. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time for the season finale at Suzuka.
Yeah, thank you, Dane and Luis.
Well, it's been great to have a chat with a couple of the drivers, but that is all that we have for race number 9 of season 9 here in the iRacing Israel League. Join us in 2 weeks' time, the 5th of December, back on a Monday night once again for the season finale. We're going to be crowning Ruben Chacha as our champion. Don't miss it from Suzuka live here on Apex Racing TV. Once again, I've been Dane Baird, joined by Luis Araya in production, and we'll see you very, very soon.